And we're live.
All right, so welcome to our life skills class with me, Chef Andrew. Most of you guys have been here. We do these once a month, and we have different themes. So I was trying to think about what to do for this one, and I know that I'm not going to see you guys before Thanksgiving, so we decided to do some kind of easy, creative, good Thanksgiving sides. In the event that you are going to somebody's house, you are going to do something for yourself, and it's, hey, can you bring a side? And it's like, man, I don't cook. I don't really know what to do in this situation. So I came up with some things that they're not a lot of skill involved. Takes one pan, maybe a broiler. So we'll start down here. So this first one down here is a Parmesan potato cake. So this is if somebody says, hey, can you bring potatoes and mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes. This one is faster because I use breakfast hash browns, the frozen grated ones, butter in a pan, the hash browns, Parmesan cheese on medium heat for like maybe 20 minutes so it gets brown and it's sliding around in the pan. And then if you have one, either a toaster oven or an oven on broil, or when you get to whoever's house, you can take it undone and then just put it under the broiler to do the top. Unless you really want to try to do like the chef flip and you try to flip like a 10-inch pancake like that, which I would probably advise against. But so it's really just potatoes and Parmesan cheese with some parsley and salt that's toasted on both sides. So the Parmesan is what's really holding, and the starch from the potatoes is holding the whole thing together. All together it takes about 30 minutes, but the good part about it is you don't have to babysit it. You just kind of put it in on medium low, and just let it go. And when it's ready, it's ready. So it takes some effort to overcook it or burn it, because you'll start to smell the toasty potato before it actually burns. So that's one simple one. The second one is a teriyaki Brussels sprouts. So all that is the teriyaki sauce that we've used in a lot of things that we've done here in a non-stick pan. Start with the teriyaki sauce. Take the Brussels sprouts raw. Those are fresh, not frozen. Because if you get frozen, they're already kind of pre-cooked and they start out bitter. And there's really no saving them at that point. So starting with fresh, because it's a mini cabbage, and we just mix it in some teriyaki sauce, put them on a tray, and in the oven for about 30 minutes at 350. So now they're going to get nice and cooked. And then now we're going kind of back to the same thing under a broiler or a heater. Cook them straight from the top, because if you keep roasting them from the bottom, they're going to steam and get overcooked. So if you roast them from the top, then they're still have some texture, but they have that kind of nice char that gives it the bitter versus the sweet of the teriyaki sauce. And while the teriyaki sauce is roasting, because it's really a lot of soy sauce and sugary type things in teriyaki sauce, so it'll start to caramelize around. So you almost get like that bitter, sweet, and sour Brussels sprout. And then on top, we just sprinkle some sesame seeds and some nori flakes. Nori is the seaweed sheet that you get sushi in. So you can actually buy it in a jar. It's already the seaweed and sesame seeds, so you just shake it over the top. So the third one is what I call it an ultimate corn pudding. So you can get in the freezer section, vegetables. You can get frozen corn. You can get frozen peppers and onions, like the fajita mix. So put all that together in a pan, thaw it out, with some cream, some bacon, some cilantro, and a little bit of sugar, and then just start cooking it. Okay? And so what's going to happen is the cream is going to reduce a little bit, your sugar is going to get incorporated, and you're really just going to get this like kind of creamy corn, pepper. And if you want to get even a little more advanced, you can take a scoop of it, put it in the blender to make like a cream to hold it all together. But that's held together with, if you'll notice on top, so I don't really advocate a lot of processed packaged foods, right? But it's Thanksgiving, so we're going to go off the road a little bit. So this is Ritz crackers. So we took one sleeve, mashed them up like breadcrumbs, put those in. So because if you let the cream cook all the way, it'll break and you'll lose your creaminess. So you can put a little bit of a starch in there, like a cracker or a breadcrumb or a pork rind. We've talked about that before, just to hold the whole thing together. So you're not cooking it down and your cream doesn't break and then it's not creamy anymore. So bake that just to get it all incorporated and yummy. Everything tastes like the cilantro and the bacon and the corn and the peppers. And so once that's done, take it out, take another sleeve of the Ritz crackers, pound those up into breadcrumbs over the top, and again, under your toaster or your broiler, right in the, so, these are things so far that, I haven't asked you to chop anything, cut anything, really saute anything, use more than one pan. But like I said, these if you want to do it by yourself, you have some friends and you want to say, yeah, I'll bring something because you're like, yeah, I got this thing in my head. 2 ingredients, 1 pan, I'm in. and I've represented, and don't ever ask me again. The last one at the end is called ambrosia. And I say it's ambrosia. Back in the 70s, 80s in the South, they have this thing called ambrosia, and it's sour cream, mayonnaise, apples, walnuts, and grapes. And so this is kind of a variation. Really, any kind of bowl of fruits. There's marshmallow in it. So this one has pineapple, cherries, apples, grapes, marshmallows, and I did it with plain yogurt. I usually do it with sour cream because I like a little bit of tanginess, but I didn't want to, but it's also got pineapple and mandarin oranges in it. So any kind of fruits, if you got like fruits laying around, banana and an apple, and I got an orange, and I got some grapes left over, and I got some dried cranberries, all of it in a bowl with some marshmallows if you want them, and bind it together. Something I said, some people use mayonnaise, but yogurt's probably the best way to go with it. And then over the top is just some coconut. Oh, I'm sorry, there's also coconut in it. So it's just really a lot of your dried and fresh fruits together, and then you can put walnuts, pecans, any type of like trail mix you have laying around. So what I did over the top was a coconut granola. So if somebody says, hey, can you bring a dessert? Then if you want to go to the store and you can grab the already diced apples, and I got a can of mandarin oranges and a can of chopped pineapple, everybody in the pool with one little container of yogurt, mix up, and here you go. Here's dessert. And it's not just your store-bought pumpkin pie. It's not your, it looks like you just bought it from the store, took it out of the package, and put it on a plate. Actually, some people don't even take it out of the package. They just walk in and throw it on the table, and there you go. So, those are some easy things to do if you're going to do it for yourself or for a group, that you're not going to dirty a lot of pans, not dirty your kitchen. You guys can start digging in if you want, and I'll talk turkey for a second. If you guys are going to do a turkey, I'm trying to think, because I'm assuming the turkeys are going to probably cook it a lot, because who has an oven? There's no ovens in your units, right? Okay, so if you're going to go to somebody's, then I highly recommend they make this thing called a boneless turkey breast, and it's about that big. They've basically taken the whole breast, tied it, and there's no bones, no mess. You don't have to cook it for 6 hours. Make sure it's cooked all the way through. But it's maybe a 1 hour process from the time it's thawed, salt and pepper in an oven, 375 degrees, 1 hour. And the temperature that you're looking for when the turkey is done is 155 degrees. Now, if you have your ServSafe card, you know that the danger zone is under 165. But when you take it out of the oven, it's going to keep cooking. It's going to steam, it's going to roast. And when you have your thermometer in it, you'll see your thermometer still keep going even after you take it out of the oven, because it's going to keep cooking. And so don't cut into it until it's at 165 degrees. No. But now for those of you that want to know about, say, fried turkeys, and they want to know about roasted turkeys, brine turkeys, basted turkeys, let's start with fried turkeys. So that was a big thing, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. Have you guys ever seen a fried turkey? Okay, so you've also probably seen every Thanksgiving at night that so-and-so burned their entire house down by a fried turkey. And if you've read my cookbook, you'll read that. So the key to a fried turkey is that your turkey has to be completely thawed. That is the number one reason how people set their house on fire on Thanksgiving, is they take a whole turkey that's not thawed, there's still a little frozen piece in the middle, and once that ice hits that oil, yeah. Well, the other thing is, as well, is they do it in their garage next to like old blankets, and they tell you, if you're going to do this, find a parking lot, go out to your driveway, set up a perimeter so that no kids riding bikes walk by and knock it over. And it's not a complicated process. It's all in the preparation. Turkey's completely thawed, patted dry, because once if you've ever had a pan of oil and you get a little bit of water in it and it just dances. Well, imagine doing a 1 pound ice cube and 5 gallons of screaming hot oil. It immediately overflows. And then, like I said, whatever's around it in the garage, like the water heater right there, and turns into a rocket ship, and there goes your house for Thanksgiving. You've also maybe heard about brining turkey, and we talked about this in the very beginning when we're talking about chicken. So anytime you have pork or poultry, you can make what's called a brine. It's water and salt. It's basic salt water. And what you're doing is you're taking this solution to tenderize the meat without cooking it. So it's breaking down the muscle structure of chicken, pork. You can brine beef also, but usually beef should be tender enough that you don't have to brine it. You can really more tenderize it. But salt has this effect on vegetables, because what salt does is it draws out moisture. So a lot of people say about if you're going to cook a steak or whatever, like a restaurant, you salt it maybe an hour before you're going to cook it, because all you're doing is like what we said, you're adding that water to the grease, one, and you're adding something cold to something hot, and you're killing your cooking surface. So I mean, we talked about that day we did steak, that we want that nice crust, and it's really hard because then it just starts steaming. So you're going to try and get some of that moisture out first. Same thing with your turkey. Is cooking a whole turkey, it's a fickle project because you have white meat in the breast, you have dark meat in the legs, you have thighs, you have a carcass. And so they're all different cooking temperatures. And so when you're brining it, you're kind of advancing the cooking because you're tenderizing the meat. And so at that point, patting it dry and then follow your directions. Was it 15 minutes a pound? Something like that at 375. So, and something else to watch for is a lot of people like to stuff their turkeys. Just beware if you do it or if somebody's doing it. Stuffing your turkey creates an insulator inside the bird. Okay, it's also, you're now putting cooked product on raw meat. Okay, and so after you cook the turkey for 4 or 5 hours, it should be fine, but you're disallowing the heat to go through the bird. You now created insulation to get that heat to not go to the inside and come through. So if you walk in, somebody's got a stuffing, maybe take the meat from the outside. and they should be serving dressing on the side also, which, trivia fact, well, just trivia, the difference between stuffing and dressing: stuffing is stuffed in the bird, dressing is served on the side. That's it. So it's the same stuff, but if you stuff it, it's stuffed. If it's on the side, it's dressing. So what other questions do we have? What do we think about this? Any questions about this? Yes, Leanne?
The fruit salad is delicious.
Thank you.
And what would happen if you put cooked products in the turkey? Is that like contamination or?
Cooked products?
Yeah.
You mean afterwards or before?
Is it before or after?
Well, a lot of people stuff it, and they'll stuff it with with a cooked mix, because it's just vegetables. Some people put sausage or bacon that's cooked. But at that point, I said, so what you're doing is you're creating a potential for bacteria, because you're putting even though your stuffing is not baked, but it's actually going to have some egg in it. So now you've got raw egg touching raw turkey.
Right.
So it's really just better off to not stuff turkeys, because like I said, you're disallowing the heat to go through the bird and cook it from the inside out. So if you're going to do that, throw things like onions, garlic, chives. Look around for all your scraps, your parsley scraps, your onion scraps, your green onion scraps, maybe a lemon, and just stuff all that in the bird. So as the heat's going through the bird, it's creating aromatics for the turkey. And something else that a lot of people ask me about is, Chef, I see that we eat all the meat of the bird, but all I'm doing when I'm basting the outside is basting the skin. So I'm not getting anything like in the actual meat. So the way to do that is, whether you use oil or you use butter that's really soft, and then you salt, pepper, herbs, whatever you want to put in this butter or oil, you take what's called a plunger, a turkey baster. It's that thing that's got like the, look at thermometer, and so you take your oil and you can pick up a piece of the skin and either take this baster or your fingers and just kind of separate the skin a little bit and just get butter or oil under, and then you just start massaging the skin, and you're massaging. So now you've seasoned your meat, not just the skin. I mean, delicious skin is amazing, but we're really there for the meat. What else?
These are great.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
And that was probably the easiest one.
How do you make these?
So, teriyaki sauce, mix it in teriyaki sauce, just your straight in a bottle, in the oven. We had it on 400 degrees for probably about 20 minutes, and then turn it on broil, or put it in a toaster oven under the broil setting, and cook it from the top. We were talking about, because you want to get more of a texture. If you let it keep sitting in the pan, that liquid will steam, and they'll get soggy. And the same thing, those are fresh Brussels sprouts. If you start with frozen, then the same thing. There's all that water content in there, and they're just going to steam, and it's going to be bitter and wet.
Well, I don't have an oven.
Then the best way to do that is when you toss them in the the teriyaki sauce, you have a burner top, right? So a large saute pan, preferably ceramic. Put them in there and just start cooking like that. And as you're cooking, that heat will caramelize the teriyaki sauce. And as they cook, just add a little bit more at a time. Because if you put all the teriyaki sauce at one time, it's going to do what we just said. It's going to create steam and get them all soggy. So you can just start cooking and then add a little more teriyaki, keep cooking, a little more teriyaki, keep cooking until they're the texture that you want them. Okay. And that what happens is that the sugar and the teriyaki sauce will just caramelize around the Brussels sprout.
Do you put all the colored bell peppers in there?
Actually, that's just red and green. I didn't put any yellow or orange. But that is the same thing. You could put carrots in there, jalapenos in there. I put bacon in there, but you can put sausage. You could, corn, carrots, celery, but the whole concept is getting all those vegetables in there with the cream, and then just a little bit of binder. Like I said, we use a little bit of the Ritz cracker so that you don't cook all your cream out and it breaks and it's not creamy anymore. And then put a little, bake it, take it out, put the Ritz crackers on top, and then just go again under the broiler for a minute. And if you don't have a broiler, then you don't have to do the what you can do. And that, I'm sorry, I completely forgot your name. Jessica, that's right. Is in a saute pan that you have. Once you have the this in your if you've sauteed this, it doesn't have to go in the oven, but you can kind of slow simmer it in a pan. Put that in your dish that you're going to serve it in. Clean out your pan. Take your crackers and put them in your pan, dry, and just make sure you keep moving them. Put it on medium heat, and they'll start to toast. And that's all you've really done there is toasted it under the broiler. The corn one.
I didn't ask about this.
Oh yeah, that was you. And these potatoes down here, the concept was kind of the same. So we used, frozen hash browns because they're faster, and we didn't have to chop them, we didn't have to grate them. They're already done for us in the store, and then the Parmesan cheese is already grated. So mixed together with some butter in the pan, and we said just go slow. And if you don't have a broiler or a toaster, but you have the saute pan, like I said, you could try once the bottom is crispy, slide it out onto a probably onto a plate. And maybe watch a YouTube video and practice a couple times, because what you'll do is take your plate, put it on top of your saute pan, and and then slide it back into so you can cook the bottom. Easier with the broiler, but if you're going somewhere for Thanksgiving, just hey, do you have a broiler? All right, cool, I'm coming.
Do we have water?
Yeah. Thought we had glass. Yeah, there's glass with no water.
I need a water.
Okay.
I love this. I would buy it from you if you could make.
Question: is there sausages in there?
No.
Tastes like sausage.
No, that's just butter, potatoes, Parmesan. But when you get when that Parmesan gets toasted, it might give off that kind of flavor a little bit, and Italian seasoning and some salt.
Definitely take it to food salad.
Actually, I have enough. Well, let me know if you want me to make you one. I don't know, because we're still 2 weeks out from Thanksgiving, so.
Don't we have Thanksgiving dinner on next week?
Yeah, yeah, we do. Monday night. Yeah. So.
The bomb. Huh?
Yeah.
Any questions about turkey, vegan, vegetarian for Thanksgiving? All of this also is really to try to avoid using processed foods and canned foods. I know that I would love to. You can segment your own orange and chop your own pineapple and maybe leave the cherries out. And the frozen things are okay, but you can go as health conscious if you want by using fresh stuff. But I just try to advocate staying away from everything that's canned because they're in salt and nitrates and nitrites as a preservative. But all this is made from fresh frozen. Actually, the Brussels sprouts are fresh. Potatoes are fresh. Thanks. Where'd she go?
Who, me?
No, Lillian. Here, Lillian. Butter.
What am I looking at? Oh, I'm sorry.
Butter. It's okay. So anyway, that's all I have for today. So I hope this kind of helped you if you're going to go somewhere or if you're going to make something that the couple of you guys are gonna get together, then everybody should have my email.
You can.
If you don't, I'm gonna put it right here. Email me and say, hey chef, we're doing this, how do we do it? I might even do it at home and send you a video.
Do we have to go for it? To go for it?
Yes, I will get them for you, and yes, please take as much as you'd like. You guys take a picture of that, or most of you should have it. Wow, to-go containers, and do you have anything you'd like to add?
I'm looking forward to trying everything.
All right. Yes, that's it, folks.